Hello everyone, today we will start chapter number 10, Reaching the Age of Adolescence. The topics which we will cover are adolescence, changes at puberty, sex determination, nutritional needs of adolescents, personal hygiene, say no to drugs, AIDS. Now the word come adolescence, what does it mean? Like you people are adolescents. So the phase of growth between childhood and adulthood is known as adolescence, and during this phase so many changes takes place, like there is development of your body, physical development, mental development, emotional development. So that is adolescence, or you can say a person is neither a child nor an adult. So it is the period between a child and an adult. Transition period between childhood and adulthood. This is adolescence, and another term comes puberty. So puberty is a biological process in which development of secondary sexual organs takes place and you become sexually mature. That means you are capable of reproduction. Now you have grown into an age in which you can reproduce. It begins at 11 years and lasts up to 19 years, your adolescence, when the phase of growth starts from 11 years and it lasts up to 19 years, and this phase is known as teenage, and you people are known as teenagers. Like right now you people are teenagers. In girls, adolescence begins 1 or 2 years earlier than that in the boys. And period may vary from person to person. It is not that this is fixed age that at 11 years everybody's adolescent stage will start. It differ. Then several changes mark the onset in a human body. As I told you, physical change, mental changes. Most important change is becoming capable of reproduction. Reaching reproductive maturity is the end mark, means at this stage. Now let us see what are the changes which takes place. So changes at puberty, voice change, increase in height, change in body shape, development of sex organs, increased activity of sweat and sebaceous glands, reaching mental, intellectual and emotional maturity. Let us look at these points one by one. Increase in height. You have seen there is there is rapid increase in your height when you attain age of 12 years. So there is sudden growth in your height. Why? Because of the puberty. Adolescence is marked by sudden increase in height. And why you appear tall in height? Because the legs, your arms, they get elongated, which makes you appear taller. And it also depends on the heredity. If your parents are tall, then there are chances that you will also be a tall boy or girl. Age, by example, by the age of 11, a boy completes almost 81% of his probable full height and a girl about 88%. Not only on heredity, it also depends on the nourishment, the food which you eat. That's why you are asked to eat healthy food, and you should not take junk food because that is not nutritious, and at this age you need proper food for your development. Then second change is change in voice. Now in the initial ages, voice of boys and girls are very much similar, you can say, but after a certain age there is difference in voices. Why? Because of the voice box. In chapter 13 we have discussed the working of voice box, that what is voice box? Voice box is larynx, and there is increase in size of voice box at this stage. In boys the size of voice box becomes larger, and in girls the size of voice box is small. So because of the difference in sizes of voice box, there is difference in the voice. Adam's apple, protruding part of the throat. In boys, voice box is large, so it is seen from the outside also. This protruding part which you can see here, voice box is present, and this is known as Adam's apple. Whereas in case of girls, this Adam's apple is not visible. Boys develop larger voice box than girls. Large voice box is equal to deeper voice. Large voice box means the frequency will be less and voice will be deeper. Whereas in girls, there is small voice box and voice of girls is high pitched voice having high frequency. Understood the change in voice? The next change is change in body shape. It is very easily observable. Shoulders of the boys generally broaden and muscles become prominent. You have seen the shoulders become broader, the chest become wider. Why? Because of the puberty. And in girls, region below the waist becomes wider, the hip area that becomes broader. Then increased activity of sweat and sebaceous glands. Now during this stage, you people are very conscious about your beauty. Okay, you think that you should look good all the time, and suddenly at this stage you face pimples, problem of pimples, acne, and you might get depressed, but there is no worry because this is the natural process which every human has to pass. So same goes with you. And why pimples and acne occur? Because of the activity of sweat and sebaceous gland. What is the role of sweat gland? It releases sweat, and sebaceous gland, or we say it oil glands, they release oils in your skin. So at this stage, these glands release excess of sweat and oil, and because of the excess release of sweat and oil, there is deposition of layer on your skin which makes these pimples or acne to come out of your skin. But as soon as you will pass this phase, they will all be gone from your skin. Then development of sex organs. At this stage, your reproductive organs, they develop completely. What are the reproductive organs in males? Testes, penis, and in females, it is ovaries. So development of these testes, penis and ovaries takes place, and they are able to produce sperms and ova in particular body. Then reaching mental, intellectual and emotional maturity. At this phase, you are very self-independent. You are king of your own world. You think that you can change the world. So why this spirit is in you? Because of, again, the puberty, this age. So more independent, self-conscious and have different ways of thinking. And at this stage, brain has greatest capacity for learning. Then secondary sexual characters. There is development of secondary sexual characters, and what are these characters? These characters are not directly involved in reproduction, but these characters help us to differentiate between a boy and a girl. Like if two persons are standing in front of you, you can easily differentiate whether it is a man or a woman. How? By looking at the facial hairs, like men have mustaches, beards, their shoulders are broader, and by looking at these points you can easily differentiate. So why these changes takes place? First of all, these changes are secondary sexual characters, changes in secondary sexual characters, features that distinguish the two sexes of a species but not directly part of the reproductive system. Now let's have a look on secondary sexual characters of a human male. Growth of body and facial hair, like hair under armpits and pubic area, and facial hairs like mustaches and beards. Then deepening of voice because of large larynx. Then increased stature, means increase in height. Then increased muscle mass, broadening of shoulders, increased secretions of oil and sweat glands. And in human female, enlargement of breast, growth of body hair, greater development of thigh muscles, widening of hips, increased secretions of oil and sweat glands. Here comes your first internal question, which you have to write on page 122. What causes acne or pimples on face? And mark the answer. The increased activity of sebaceous glands and sweat glands result in the acne or pimples on the face. Why these changes takes place? It is these changes are controlled by a chemical substance. In our body, a chemical substance is present which controls these changes in our body. And what are these chemical substances known as? These chemical substances are known as hormones. You have heard of this term before also, hormones. So what are hormones? These are chemical substances present in our body and they control all the changes which takes place during this phase of our lives. Now, which organ or which gland releases this hormone? There must be something. Who releases these hormones? A gland is present inside our body which is known as endocrine glands. Means it is a complete system, like we have respiratory system, reproductive system. Similarly, we have endocrine system in which endocrine glands are present. There are so many types of endocrine glands, we will discuss it later. So these glands releases hormones and these hormones bring changes in our body. Understood this concept? Now, endocrine glands. What are these glands? Actually, these, let me make a rough figure of this. Suppose this is any endocrine gland and this is a part of our body where change has to take place. Now, this endocrine gland will do what? It will release these hormones directly into the blood. Like between this, a stream of blood is present. Okay, so these glands will release hormones directly in the blood and these hormones are carried by blood to the specific part of our body and this specific part is known as target site. Like we have any target in our life. So what is the role of that target? Like we have to achieve that target, we have to reach that target. Similarly, these hormones, they have to reach their target and that's why it is known as target site. So understood what is endocrine gland, what is hormone? Let's look here, hormones. Hormones are chemical secretions from endocrine glands. Hormones are non-nutrient substances which act as intercellular messengers and are formed in trace quantity. They elicit response in the target tissue. They are not nutritious, they are just messenger. They take messages from endocrine glands in the form of hormones and they reach where? To their target site. Few endocrine glands which are present in our body are pituitary gland, thyroid gland, adrenal glands, pancreas. Now these four glands are common in both male and female, but there is difference in these glands. Like testes are present only in male human and ovaries are present only in female human. Let's look at the function of these glands. First is pituitary gland. This gland releases growth hormone. Okay, these glands release growth hormones, and these glands are also known as master gland. Why it is known as master gland? Because it controls the activity of the remaining glands. Like here we have seen another glands, thyroid, adrenal, pancreas. This gland, pituitary gland, controls the activity of the remaining glands. That's why it is known as master gland. Then another gland is thyroid gland. Okay. Thyroid gland releases which hormone? It releases thyroxine. And if there is deficiency of thyroxine in our body, then you have heard of the disease goiter. It happens in our, means that disease is caused in our body because of the deficiency of thyroxine. Another gland is pancreas. Pancreas releases insulin, and it maintains the sugar level in our body. If there is there is imbalance in sugar level in our body, then you have heard of the disease diabetes. The person it means the diabetes is caused in their body because of the deficiency of sugar or imbalance in the sugar level in our body. And you have heard that those patients take insulin injections. Why? To fulfill the requirement by our body of insulin. Then another is adrenal gland. It releases which hormone? Adrenaline. And it maintains the salt level in our body. Have you heard of this adrenaline rush? Means when you watch scary movies, or suppose a dog is behind you, then suddenly there is sufficient energy to overcome that situation. So where does that energy come from? A sudden energy, because of this adrenaline rush in your body. Then testis, which is present only in male human. It releases which hormone? I have told you in chapter number 9 also. It releases testosterone. Another gland, ovaries, which is present only in female body, and it releases which hormone? It releases estrogen. And these hormones are responsible for the change in secondary sexual organs. Here comes your second internal question, which you have to write on page 125. Which gland is known as master gland? And mark the answer. The pituitary gland is also known as master gland, and it is attached to our brain. Then next topic, reproductive phase. Now we have a short lifespan of approx 70 years. Now we are not completely capable of reproduction during all these 70 years. There is specific time, there is particular period in which only we are capable to reproduce. So that phase, that limited time is known as reproductive phase. So it is a phase during a person's life throughout which production and development of gametes takes place. Reproductive phase lasts for a much longer time in males than in females. Reproductive phase in females, it begins at 10 to 12 years of age and it lasts till the age of 45 to 50 years. Now understand what happens in female body during this phase. On the onset of puberty, the body of female, it releases egg, ovum every month, once a month. So ova is released, and which organ of body releases this ova or ovum? Ovaries. Okay, ovaries releases ova, and as soon as it is released, the wall of uterus becomes thick. Uterus prepared itself to receive this egg, and that's why the wall become thick along with the blood. Now there are two possibilities. One possibility is that this ovum, or we simply say egg, this egg is getting fertilized by any sperm. So there are two conditions. First is this egg is fertilized, and when will it fertilize? When there will be sperm, and fertilization takes place where? In fallopian tube. And another possibility is egg is not fertilized. Now if egg is fertilized, zygote will form, and zygote will embedded where? It will get implanted in the wall of uterus, which is already thick. Now this uterus is capable of supporting that zygote, and then that zygote will develop into embryo, then fetus, and finally a baby will produced. So when egg is fertilized, a female becomes pregnant. So that is one possibility. Now another, in case when egg is not fertilized, then this thick wall of uterus is of no use, because there is no one which it can support. So what will happen? This wall sheds off along with blood, and that process is known as menstruation. Wait. This wall sheds off along with blood, and this complete process is known as menstruation. What it is known as? Menstruation. And it happens every month. Now look here. Menstruation, puberty, ova begin to mature, then the wall of uterus gets thick. Then there are two possibilities: either egg will fertilize or it will not fertilize. If it fertilizes, then it results in pregnancy, and during that phase of pregnancy there will be no menstruation. But if egg is not fertilized, then that thickened lining of the uterus along with its blood vessels are shed off, and menstruation will take place again the next month, and this is complete cycle of menstruation. Now the first flow is known as first menstrual flow is known as menarche, and that stoppage of this flow, is known as menopause. Understood these two terms, menarche and menopause? Now next topic is sex determination. When we know that any woman is pregnant and there will be birth of a child, then how do we determine the sex of child, whether it will be a girl or a boy? There is a process. Now, in human cell, wait a minute. In cell of human, there are 23 pairs of chromosomes. And what are chromosomes and where are they present? We have already discussed all these things. In cell of human, 23 pairs of chromosomes are present, out of which 22 pair are known as autosomes, and the remaining 2 chromosomes, means 1 pair, these 2 chromosomes are known as sex chromosomes because they determine the gender of a child, whether it will be a girl or a boy. Now it is of 2 types, X and Y. Understood? There are 2 chromosomes, X and Y, which determine the gender of a child. Now in case of female, (22) are autosomes and remaining 2 chromosomes are XX, means both chromosomes are of same type X, and in male 22 are autosomes, but those 2 chromosomes, out of which one is X and other is Y. Now there are 2 possibilities. For fertilization, sperm has to fuse with egg. Now egg is always of X type, so this egg has X type chromosome. Now for fertilization, suppose this is any sperm and it is of X type, so these 2 will fuse, and what will be the combination which we will get? It is of XX, and this combination is seen in which body? In female body. So in this case, a baby girl will born. Let's say another condition in which again egg will be of X type. Now in this case, let's say sperm is of Y type. So in this, X will fuse with Y, and what will be the combination? XY, and XY combination is seen in which body? In males. So a baby boy will born. Now look here, 23 pairs of chromosomes in male or female, out of which 22 are autosomes and allosomes. The remaining 2 chromosomes are known as allosomes or sex chromosomes. Combination in female body is of XX and in male it is XY. When this egg, now there are 2 possibilities, whether this sperm carry X type or it will carry Y type. So when X will fertilize with this X type sperm, then a baby girl will born, and when this X will fertilize with this Y type sperm, a baby boy will born. Now last topic of our chapter. Before that, write the remaining internal question on page 124. How many pairs of chromosomes are present in human cell? And answer is under the topic, how is sex determined? There are 23 pairs of chromosomes or 46 chromosomes. Okay, now last topic of our chapter, reproductive health of adolescents. Now you might have heard the saying that health is wealth. Health is very important, and to maintain the health of our body, we should take proper food, a balanced diet, a nutritious food. The WHO defines health as a state of complete physical, mental and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Health is not only about our physical fitness, it is also about our mental fit, whether we are mentally fit, emotionally fit, it includes everything. So for proper health, balanced diet is required. A balanced diet is a complete diet in which all nutrients are present, all nutrients like fats, minerals, vitamins, carbohydrates, because at this age you need a proper balanced diet for the proper growth of your reproductive organs. Personal hygiene, yes, at this means not only at this stage, but every time hygiene is important. You should keep your body clean and neat. Now, nutritional needs of adolescents. Right kind of food taken during growing years provides better nutrition to the bones, muscles and other body parts. That's why you should not eat junk food, because it has zero nutritional value. Then personal hygiene, all body parts should be washed and cleaned every day. Increased activity of sweat glands make the body smell. If hygiene is not maintained, there are chances of catching various skin infection. Like right now, what we do? We regularly wash our hands, we regularly take bath because of this coronavirus. So because we are afraid of this virus, that's why we are taking proper care. But it should be taken care every time, whole of your lifetime. Then girls should take proper care of cleanliness during the time of menstrual flow to avoid infections of vagina and urinary tract, because that time there is flow of blood. Then before this, then say no to drugs. Drugs can be seen in powdered form, in the form of injections, and at this stage you might get a bad company which can motivate you to take drugs, and the drugs are very harmful for your body because it can ruin your health, it can ruin your happiness. So you should avoid drugs unless it is prescribed by any doctor. Then AIDS, have you heard of this disease? Full form is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, and this disease is caused by a virus known as HIV, human immunodeficiency virus. In this disease, AIDS, what happened? This virus makes our body, it makes our immune system very weak. So what are the modes of transmission? How can we get infected from this disease? By sharing the syringes from an infected person. If you are using the same used syringe, then there are 100% chances that you will get infected from that person. Then from an infected lactating mother to her infant. If a mother is infected with this disease and she is feeding her baby, then there are again 100% chances that the baby will also get infected from this disease. Then sexual contact with a person infected with HIV. If you are making physical contact with the infected person, then again you will get infected from this disease. Now, so what you can do to avoid getting infected from this disease? You should avoid all these points, like always use fresh syringe. You should not take blood from any bank, you should take blood from any registered blood bank. Then a lactating mother should not feed her baby, and you should not make any physical contact with the infected person. So I hope you understood the chapter. That was all about it. Thank you.